Hey everybody, my name is Velocity Pete. I am your host of the Velocity Sellers Podcast. I am joined today by Quinn Karp, a Amazon expert, and I'm going to call you that. I know we talked about this last time, but I forgot to ask beforehand what Quinn would like to be introduced as, but I don't think anyone would turn down being introduced as an Amazon expert.
You know what?
Um,
That's a perfect way to put it. I've worked with people who associate as like, I'm an Amazon expert, and I have been timid with calling myself that because there is so much to learn about
right.
Amazon. I am far, far from an expert, but I know my stuff. I've got quite the experience. So, and I know we'll be getting into that today, but we can use that term for the time being. I
Yeah,
with the amount of, things I've been
right.
working on with Amazon expert fits.
I've had a few people say that this is them talking that they would never call themselves experts, but if someone else did, they'd be like, okay, sure. So that's what I see this as. Like we're officially naming you an expert, at least in my eyes, based on our first conversation. So expert it is. So today I am joined by Quinn Karp, again an Amazon expert. You guys are going to love this episode because I will be doing very little talking. I know all the audience is probably cheering and clapping for that. And we're going to hear mostly from Quinn. This is going to be a new sort of style of episode of getting some real life experience and real life stories from someone that's been doing Amazon for a long time. Not necessarily some of our other episodes where we're talking to people in specific niches or I'm super diving in deep about a certain topic. Today, I want to focus on Quinn's story and some other important pieces of that, like any hurdles she's jumped over with Amazon, any great successes she's had, really just, again, her background and her growth in Amazon. So you might see a few more of these in the future. This would be a fun segment to branch out more and talk to other people in the Amazon community. And so that's why I have brought Quinn on today. And also her story seemed very interesting. So I'm excited to share it with you all. And I'm excited to have really her share it with you all. But I'm excited to kind of get into it and start hearing about the Quinn Karp Amazon story.
Awesome, yeah. I mean, it's been wonderful connecting with you, sharing my story. I feel like I've shared it quite a few times now. I've had several experiences with Amazon, and currently I'm working at an agency, so I'm constantly, expressing my knowledge, sharing stories, previous experiences, troubleshooting, all of the possibilities that there are with Amazon. But yeah, I can jump right in. I started out straight out of college. I didn't know I wanted to get into e-commerce. Didn't know that much about Amazon other than being a consumer myself. And I graduated during the pandemic, so finding opportunities were difficult. But I did land myself at a temp agency in Rhode Island, where I was located at the time in Providence. And I got the opportunity to work at two of the biggest Fortune 500 companies, Hasbro and CVS, and both on their digital team. So at Hasbro, it was my first, I'd like to say, professional experience, and I was working on their Amazon team. It was a small team at the time, but we were working across all of the different brands that Hasbro has. If you're unfamiliar, it's a toy company. So we
Not the
were
gummy
chatting
bears,
about
right?
this
Yes.
before, but yeah, you thought it was Haribo,
I thought it was
not to
Haribo, and I was
be
like, "Oh, I love their
confused with Haribo.
cola things." Yeah, no, it's in what games? It's like Monopoly and other popular big names, that household names that people would know.
Yeah, yeah, Monopoly, Mr. Potato Head, Littlest, the My Little Pony,
Right.
all of, if you have kids, of Hasbro. Or, if you love to play with toys as a kid as well, you've probably played with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a really wonderful experience. I dove right into Amazon, um, retained a ton of knowledge, built PDPs and brand stores, and worked with content across really fun, different brands. And across the game and toy category. So I learned a lot there, and yeah, it's just from there I got a ton of information and developed some skills and moved on to some other companies working with different categories and you know on Amazon, but also across different omni channels as well. So yeah, it was insane just jumping right into that.
Yeah. I can imagine coming out of college and trying to navigate that whole just the Amazon experience in general, especially with giant companies like, I'm gonna say Haribo, but it's not, it's Hasbro.
Hasbro, yeah.
And you said something about this is like them and CVS are both based in New England? That's a fun
Rhode
little
Island,
oh,
yeah.
in Rhode Island, both in Rhode Island. Oh, wow.
Tiniest little state, yep.
I remember you mentioned something about, like, that is the typical Rhode Island experience is you work for one of those 2. I thought that was very funny.
Yep,
2
yep,
companies
so
like that.
you either know someone or there's someone in your family, if you live in Rhode Island, that works, at either one of those companies, so it was great. I loved living in Rhode Island. I actually moved on to a different company in Providence called Fit and Fresh, and the people that were working there, a lot of them came from CVS or Hasbro. I kind of felt like, "Oh, this is perfect. What a wonderful
Yeah.
segment in my career moving into a new company, and that experience was also really wonderful. I got to work on not just Amazon, but also, I worked cross-functionally with their, creative team. Uh, Creative, assets were huge there, like, just I was working with people who were developing the products, and I actually, for a short stint, was, directing all the photography. So I had the opportunity to take the product from the ground up. So I was given the brand new product straight from China and started taking pictures of it and building out content, creating the PDPs across Amazon, but also they were working on Walmart and Target and anywhere that
Yeah.
you can sell online at the time. Um, and it was really a great opportunity. I got to work with a successful Amazon account and then also work on other accounts that are just starting out or developing products across the different digital shelves. It was cool.
Hmm. And it was all you mentioned a few other websites, right? Like Target and some of the other major e-commerce players now. What was it like balancing all of those different websites? I mean, they're all different. We're starting to here at Velocity to get into a little bit of the e-commerce omni-channel approach, where we're targeting these other, for lack of a better word, we're targeting these other places like Target, like Walmart, um, Shopify, Dick's Sporting Goods, Staples, all these other websites that you let you buy and sell online. What was it like juggling these different websites, these different accounts that maybe one account has an account on all these different sites, all these different marketplaces? How was that with learning? How did that help your learning and development of really how to make everything better?
It was difficult, to say the least. It's as
It sounds like
anyone
it.
who works on across different omni channels, they all have their own specific needs and specifications, and it's something that I really had to deep dive while working there. Walmart has different content specifications. I was working on Sam's Club at the time, and they needed like, for instance, with photography, full 360 shots. Every corner, every inch of the product needed to be documented on their listing page. And then there was Target. I working in the account that I did, very little, I didn't have a ton of, exposure to it, but it wasn't even working on a platform, it was just working with a sales rep, I wanna say, like, you sent out the content via email, like, it was very different, and I also had the experience there working on a Seller Central account and Vendor Central account, for the same brand. It was
Oh,
messy at the time,
oh,
but it
yeah.
made sense. And yeah, just, what I learned most about working cross functionally and having, sales teams prioritize different products for different, accounts. Amazon gets it all at the end of the day, but
Right.
it's, like, not always the shiniest stuff, and it's not always, like, the bottom of the barrel. It's all of anything that we can have inventory for and ship, we would put it on Amazon, and that's true to today, and, a lot of different accounts. um it's interesting. I find that in my current role now, selling inventory to help move through excess, and just get the job done. Amazon, at the end of the day, they're not as specific about the products that they're accepting. There's assortments that need to be approved by a sales member to be accepted into the Walmart assortment, for instance, like an in-store, assortment,
Mhm.
and Amazon doesn't care. They just you could sell anything as long as you have the inventory.
Right, it's very interesting the different levels of, I guess, quality checking, maybe other stuff. I just spoke with someone the other day about the counterfeit products and just what kind of gets by. Amazon does take it seriously, but you're right. It's different than having the product in store. I feel like because that's part of that is we just talked about this too. How on Amazon you're really selling your content as well as the product itself. You're selling the experience your content provides, or you're selling the experience your product provides, but you have to show that through their content. But in a store, people can physically pick it up and hold it and look at it and check it out. But you can't do that on Amazon. You have to trust the images. But even so, it's very interesting that again, these places like Walmart and Target that they won't accept things. Have you had things rejected by them from your inventory that said like, no, we can't take this, or like you mentioned, there's more specific requests from them, but have they ever said no, we can't accept this product for X, Y, and Z reason?
It's funny you asked that, and once I said anything, I, like, immediately took it back because that's not necessarily true. And it kind of takes me into my next experience. After that, I joined a team, selling a whole new category. So this Fin Fresh was insulated lunch bags, travel gear, ice packs, relatively easy to sell online.
Right.
And then I moved on to a company that was selling tattoo equipment and body piercing and permanent makeup. Think tattoo ink and needles and machinery and medical equipment. So difficult to sell on Amazon. Restricted products left and right, uh, ineligible to, advertise, pure organic sales growth. It was difficult, to
It
say
was
the
hard.
least, for sure.
And funny enough for our viewers out there, that's actually where Quinn and Velocity Sellers with the one apostrophe, no S after it, for all the grammar police out there. That's where our paths intercrossed, right? Because we actually helped with that account and we managed that account as well. And I can tell you, after speaking with a brand manager, yeah, it definitely the Amazon is very strict with some things. Like everyone knows the whole pesticide stuff that came out a couple years ago, and that restricted some products that didn't have actually pesticides or anything in it. So they're very on top of that, I guess, as best as they can. But I can imagine that that was much more difficult than, like you said, than those insulated lunch boxes. Um, and a little bit going back to Walmart and Target, uh, did you have anything rejected from there? Like when you mentioned that they needed every single corner of it, or they needed every image possible for this product. When you sent stuff in, product wise, like inventory wise, did they ever send it back to you and say we can't accept this to put it in the store?
So, I did work with Walmart, both at Fit and Fresh and, as well as Body Art Alliance. Similar issues, very similar to Amazon, where, like, for instance, the tattoo needles couldn't even sell them on Walmart, wouldn't even activate the listings. Um, so yes, in that sense. And then, for sure have had inventory shipped back. I mean, we work with Amazon, daily right now with, like, for instance, expiration dates. I'm currently in the, grocery category, so
Right.
food is definitely difficult sometimes. They will dispose of inventory because of expiration dates or, anywhere between, if there was a recall on your items, which
Mhm.
is something that I've also experienced recently, there goes, the listing for a long time. It takes a
Right.
long time for them. There that could be a whole separate episode when it comes to
Yeah.
disposed inventory due to recall. It takes forever because there's people that need to dispose of all traces of inventory across all the different warehouses. And that takes a long time. It's not just like, okay, like press a button and goes
It's
down
gone.
a chute.
Right.
It's not that case at
Shoot.
all. And yeah, it happens. It's not always easy. It's never easy. With Amazon and with Walmart, with all of the different channels, there's definitely difficulties across them all.
I can only imagine. I wanted to talk to you about more of those difficulties as well, and just looking at even things like of how different Amazon is in 2024 than it was in even like in 2020 or 2021. I can only imagine that's similar to, of course, Walmart. We've seen a crazy growth from them in the past couple of years where they've not caught up to Amazon, but they're in the space now. They're a competitor, I would say. Um, it's very well. I think Walmart's very funny when they do their sort of their own Prime days or their Walmart days, like a week
Mhm.
before Amazon's Prime days. Is very. I think they're very funny. I think they know exactly what they're doing, and they're like, all right, well, here I'm gonna drop this. I'm gonna drop my event a week before yours, so people are all shopped out, and I think it's very funny. Um, but looking at how they have changed and evolved, what has been your experience with that of not necessarily keeping up, but staying in the know and keeping on top of the wave that is e-commerce, whether it be Amazon, whether it be Target, whether it be Walmart. How have you seen? Really, I want to hear your experience from your side of things. Where have you seen change, and how have you kept up with it?
Yeah, so, I've definitely experienced the Walmart digital space boom. I've been a part of it, it seems like a short time that I've had, my experience working with both Walmart and Amazon, but through that experience, I've seen how they mimic each other in a lot of ways. And most recently, you'd always think like, okay, Amazon dominates the digital retail space for sure, for sure, and Walmart dominates the in-store brick and mortar
Right.
space, like for sure. And I'm now given the opportunity to work with Amazon Fresh. And it's my first experience working with an in-store vendor. And it's so interesting to see how Amazon is taking from their competitors and doing what Walmart is doing online, where when I built a Walmart store from the ground up with um, Body Art Alliance, they were previously on, eBay and wanted to expand into Walmart. I, forecasted out an assortment, set it up on Walmart, and started, looking at advertising, and I was like, "Wow, this is so similar to Amazon. It's all the same steps and all the same content." Um but similar and different for sure, and they had, their stuff that they needed to grow with, and Fresh has a lot of growth that they are working on. So they definitely mimic and take, and like you mentioned, their own form of Prime Days and
Right.
sales. It's gotten to a point where it's really difficult to sell the same products on both channels. It's been that way, but I will say through experience, the most difficult thing that we face is price matching. So Walmart will price match to Amazon, and Amazon will price match to Walmart, vice versa. So if you sell your products to Walmart for, say, a discounted rate, they get a lower cost because their accruals are much cheaper to sell to Walmart, for instance, due to all of, the accessibility with shipping and whatnot. Um, but Amazon's price is a lot more. Then Amazon is selling at a deficit because they're price matching to Walmart. It's it's an aggressive
It's a
game.
war. It's a bloody
Yeah,
war.
yeah.
We all know Amazon's, they have teams of people scouring the internet, or they have AI, or they have something looking to make sure that you're the lowest price on Amazon. And they've been doing that forever. So that's nothing new, but it is very, it's a war. It's a war between you and all the other sellers, and even between you and yourself, right? Like you're saying, on other platforms, you have to be price matched and price competitive. Um, but you're right; it's very, very interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if Bezos and um, whatever the owner of Walmart, the CEO of Walmart's name is, that they were talking, if they were buddies, if they hung out on Jeff's 1,000,000-foot yacht. It was like, oh, you know what we should do next? We should do this together, and I'll do it first, and then you come out with it a month later or something. Maybe. I don't know. I don't like to speculate, but I like to speculate. It is interesting how just how big the boom is. Like you're right. Like you said it. This boom has been crazy for Walmart. I mean, I had a guy on who was talking about how Walmart has the best warehouse system of any company ever, even better than Amazon, because they're also stores. All of
Yeah,
those
they're
stores,
working at their stores.
yeah, across all the country. I don't even know how many Walmarts. This is where I don't know if you watch Joe Rogan, but there is a guy on the show. His name is Jamie, where he just Googles stuff for him. I think I'm gonna have Darab start doing that maybe. But I just looked it up. There are 4,600. There are 4,600 WalMarts in the U.S. alone. So that right there is 4,600 distribution centers. I'm sure Amazon does rival that. I could probably Google that too. But either way, the point is they have a great distribution system. And it's very easy for them to get into this game. And I feel like they've done a really good job of, like you said, mimicking what Amazon's success has brought them and taking it for themselves. So it's very interesting to see the way that this has grown. I'd be also curious to know, on the same kind of the same vein of you're working with these accounts um, that are on omni-channel, that are spread out over different marketplaces, different websites. Um, and we talked a little about how it is a struggle to do that. But what about the flip side of that? What are some benefits aside from, yeah, you get to spread your you spread your what's that word? You get to keep your chickens not in one hen, or you don't keep your eggs in one basket. What have you seen? What positive effects have you seen on these brands when they did eventually spread out and do omni-channel? Obviously, Hasbro had a lot of success already, but for some of the brands, like you mentioned, one that you built from the ground up, like where did you see? Like I want to hear some of the big wins and the big successes from your end.
Yeah, so it definitely helps with brand exposure for sure. Like, number one, um, you have to find where your consumers are at. I mean, there's lots of case studies to figure out where people shopping. Most recently looking at um, grocery subscriptions. If we're talking about category wise, grocery, you can now look up, exactly demographic, location of where your shoppers are shopping. And you can see, there's being cross functional across, the different accounts. Maybe you're not in store at Target. Maybe, you don't have that end cap with the, walking down the aisles, but you have your products and all online. And, there's a consumer walking through the store that doesn't see what they are looking for. They can simply search it on their app while navigating in like their cart, building their cart. It's something that Amazon does a really good job of with Fresh is basket building. If you can't find it in store, there's multiple ways to just simply add it to your cart. But working cross-functionally, like, for instance, with Walmart, it's similar also with Fresh, where maybe your assortment isn't in store, but you can add, more online. You could add, like, the whole brand assortment, multiple brands, build that sales history, and then eventually get it in the door. So there's definitely opportunity there to work cross-functionally, open your horizons. For instance, with BAA, I was, working with their, eBay account, and they started to see, consumers shift basically due to demographics. There were younger tattoo artists out there looking to get into the game. Maybe they weren't looking on eBay anymore for the latest and greatest. So shifting focus to just cover more ground and get to more consumers, get your names out there, and just being able to have your products available across different channels is huge. I mean, there's so much opportunity. It's like you're leaving it, you know, uh, what is it? Like your opportunity out the door. Yeah, you
Right.
gotta
Yeah.
sit at all the tables.
No, we've been saying that too, and it's something that we're really focusing on here in the past couple of months, and especially going into 2025 is, um, there's people out there that vehemently, um, what's a good word? Behoove Amazon. I think they hate it. They don't like Amazon. They don't want to shop on Amazon, and they don't wanna experience it, so, you need to be on other places just for that reason alone. I mean, you're not on there, but your competitors are, and so that's also another reason I'm sure as you've seen, like, it's
Mhm.
you need to spread out a little bit. And we could have a whole other episode on that as well. We've got 2 other episodes we have to record. We have to record, the removal for expired products and also, an omni-channel approach to 2025 for e-commerce. So I'm gonna bookmark those. I'm gonna have you back on.
Yeah.
But I like to ask this question to all of my guests because I think it's a very important one. Again, I mentioned I like to speculate. I like to, there are some conspiracy theories I subscribe to, and especially when it comes to Amazon. But on a, maybe not a conspiracy theory, but what are you thinking from your side of things, from a brand manager's side of things? Where are you seeing the future of not only just Amazon, but also really just e-commerce? What is maybe the next step in evolving e-commerce trends, or where do you see the market headed in the next few years?
Wonderful question. I'd love to know the answer. But to your point though, with, some people not wanting to sell on Amazon or say boycott, not consumers leaving Amazon or sellers, leaving Amazon and Amazon itself becoming a lot more particular. And sure you're aware of, this selection between being a vendor seller on Amazon. The fact of the matter is though, if you stop selling on Amazon, it does not mean that your brand is gone from Amazon. There's 3P sellers. I think it's a huge thing that some people, not everyone, but some people overlook is that, I work with a huge brand, and they've, considered walking away from Amazon respectively due to how expensive it is to sell on
Right,
Amazon and not having the support through, the price matching and just giving the consumer the lowest price possible, which obviously is a wonderful thing. You want the best for the consumer. But if you're not profitable and you do walk away, it doesn't mean the listing is removed from the site. There's
right,
still 3P sellers. It's always gonna be here. And that's, the story that I like to tell, like, it's always going to be here. It's a digital footprint. Omni-channel, working in e-commerce, selling your products online doesn't go away, and I do believe that it's growing. It's definitely growing. There are more and more people hopping on. I mean, think look at, like, TikTok Shop. If
right,
TikTok was banned and no longer with us, there'd be another app that, starts popping up with a shop. Facebook does it. It's just there's a market for it, and it's because of the consumers. It provides such a convenient, system for a consumer to unlock their phone, go to their, subscription apps, and start building their cart. They get
right.
it shipped to them. within a few days, and it's extremely convenient. I like to to delete an app from time to time to try and save myself some money, but it doesn't go away, I still I'm guilty as charged. I'll still download and, start scrolling and, buy those silly things online, but it comes down to convenience, and assortment and, being able to buy anything and everything online. I do believe it's just gonna continue to grow.
I'd be curious to see how much more convenient it could get. I don't know if we've hit that plateau, but where you live in a if you live near a big city, like I live
Mhm.
in Dallas, right? I'm close enough to the downtown where if I order early enough in the day, I get something the same day. It just comes in the same day, which is so nice. But I don't know how they get more convenient than that. But I would be not surprised if Bezos came up with something, or I keep saying Bezos, even though he's not really in charge of the company anymore. But if Amazon, if Walmart, if I know people have great experience with TikTok Shop. My cousin loves it. Shout out to my cousin Jules. She loves TikTok Shop, big fan, and she has great experience with it. She hasn't had I don't think at least she hasn't told us that she had a product that she bought that it was bad or she had to return it or it stunk. But even if she did, I'm sure the return policy is probably, somewhat in line with Amazon's, or else people would be making a big fuss about it and would be more hesitant to buy. But they're doing millions and millions and millions of units a day on TikTok Shop. I mean, people are doing really well there. That's another one we didn't really get into. Another boom that happened of TikTok Shop, and I remember they were in a band. I had some buddies visiting while that one like fateful 12 hours the TikTok was banned, and my buddies were freaking out. They're like, I can't believe it. What am I gonna do? Like I don't have anything else to scroll on. Like what am I gonna do in my downtime now? I'm like, I don't know, read a book. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, friends. They know I'm talking about them.
It's not the
Um,
same.
but yeah, it's different. It's really become this weird. I don't want to say weird, but it's become this trend of I'm gonna go buy something on TikTok. Oh, I saw this thing on TikTok Shop. I'm gonna go buy it there. I'd be curious to see if they integrate with Amazon. I know there's already, of course, been talks about that. Everyone thought Mark Zuckerberg or Bezos was going to buy it when the Supreme Court said you have to be bought by a U.S. company or something like that. But I wonder how well they're going to integrate into each other if they all just become one big app or something. Because you can advertise your Amazon products on Facebook. So, I mean, they're already kind of, having a handshake, doing a deal over there. So I wouldn't be surprised if TikTok is maybe next. You can buy right from Amazon on TikTok, but I don't know. It'd be weird. Like I said, it's fun to speculate. I like to speculate and guess what's going to happen next. But obviously, of course, we all want to know. So only one can say. Um, Quinn, I have a final question for you here. I have one
Yeah.
final question. It's to all of the potential young brand managers out there. If you could talk to yourself when you first started doing this, what piece of advice would you give yourself to you know improve the career to really make it as a brand manager? Obviously, you have. But what would be some advice you would give to your younger future Amazon brand expert self?
I love that question. Um, and I do wanna take it back a little bit further, to express, like, a full circle moment that I've had. So while I was in college, I got a job as a brand ambassador, and funny enough, it was with the agency that I'm currently at, Advantage Solutions, and it was working at my local Whole Foods, selling different brands. I was displaying a shaker bottle or sampling some veggie chicken nuggets for kids. But one part of it was integrating Amazon into the Whole Foods store. It was early on in that process, and they were having their first ever Prime Day sales, and I was helping support some consumers who are interested in, getting those prime deals on their phone while shopping in store. And, I had no idea what I wanted to do back then. Marketing sounded really cool. I was definitely people person, bubbly, trying to get out there. And when I first encountered Amazon, it was described to me as a beast. As
Hmm.
put it simple, it was crazy, and if I were to, give myself advice back then, I would tell myself to just stay hungry, continue to feed knowledge, you know, learn everything, ask all of the questions, because Amazon has just opened my mind to so many opportunities and questions and avenues that I never thought I'd go down. And now it really is. It's a full circle moment because I'm now working on an Amazon Fresh account, doing that in-store stuff, and, Amazon Prime, it's, like, followed me this whole way, and it's been really cool, and I have so much more to learn, so I'm still living by that advice I'd tell myself back then, is to continue to stay hungry, and learn, and be open to all kinds of opportunities because you never know where it will take you. Especially in a digital space, you can, do so much.
Yeah. No, I actually that's funny you say "stay hungry," that was a great, quote, that might be the quote of the episode, I might use that in the thumbnail. My old boss, great I had a great old boss, my first Amazon agency that said the same thing. He said, "Just stay hungry, just keep learning, stay on top of everything." You said this right in the beginning too. It's, when I mentioned you were an Amazon expert, it's very hard to call yourself an expert because you know there's just so much out there, that Amazon is always coming out with new things. There's always new trends. There's always new like loopholes or new secrets to unlock and things to try out. And can this help my conversion rate? Can this do this? Can this improve my impressions? All that kind of good stuff. So it's very interesting. I think that's great advice. I think all the young brand managers out there should listen up, listen to Quinn's story, and take that as inspiration to continue staying hungry, to
Yeah,
continue thirsting for knowledge and
thirsting for
hungry for knowledge.
knowledge. I said feed, but, feed on it,
Yeah.
take it all in.
Amazon is a beast. Stay hungry. That's the quote.
Yeah.
There's the headline right there. I feel like
Yeah.
a newspaper editor. Well, Quinn, I really want to thank you for coming on and telling us your story and giving us again some advice and just again sharing your experiences with Amazon, with e-commerce in general. I'd like to take this opportunity to say that if you are like Quinn and you're an Amazon expert, and you have a nice story to tell, comment in the YouTube video, hit me up on LinkedIn. Sorry, I'm using your episode as recruiting for new guests. But I think this was a great episode. I think this was a very interesting story. I'd love to hear more. I know there's a bunch of people out there like you that have this wonderful story about e-commerce that I'd love to give them a platform to spread. So yeah. So and thank you all for watching. If you like this story, which I hope you did, as much as I did, make sure to like and subscribe to stay updated for future episodes. And I am Velocity Pete, and we'll see you next week.